Independent, hybrid. I've done them all, so we'll touch on everything, and of course Mary knows a lot about all of them herself. So here we are. This is our discussion. My first book was published in 1986, way before 2000, and at that time I was an illustrator. That was my major at the time, so I was not an author at that time. And to publish a book, you really didn't have many choices. You had to get a publisher interested in you. Literary agents were almost a must. Excuse me. Nowadays, they definitely are a must, because if you're unsolicited, they won't even see you. I think I'm preaching to the choir with some of you. And back then, an illustrator would have an art rep. It was like the equivalent of a literary agent. So that was the only way to go then. The advantage would be to have an advance, which is always great. You didn't have to put out any money, and you against royalties. A disadvantage is it will take up to 18 months before your book is out. That is not unusual at all. I don't know if you had that experience. Yes.
Oh, yes.
It's horrible. And then it can be taken off their list. At their discretion, you have no say in how long it's going to be available. It's another maddening part about traditional publishers. A publisher might help you market the book, or do they? Nowadays, that's really not the case. I don't know how you, okay, no, right? I know, me too back then, nothing. Okay. Indie publishing. Indie publishing covers a whole bunch. We have many options now. Hybrid publisher is sometimes also called a co-publisher, sharing the cost of creating the book. You can choose services within that, which are offered for a fee. You can choose what you need help with, or sometimes you are an expert in certain fields. Or self-publishing, or that's called independent. You're an independent publisher. You can create a small press, which is what I did in 2003. And that would cost the least if you were able to do everything yourself. It's not something that I would recommend, especially being your own editor. Don't do that, please. But also you need the designer and all that. So independent, you find them yourself. The great thing is that a hybrid publisher will help you do all that. Advantages. You're the boss, pretty much. You have to say in how long it will be on, and everything else. Fast turnaround, could be a matter of months. You can keep the book for sale now with print on demand for as long as you want to print it. And it's also easy to update and correct. So that's another big advantage. Some resources I would suggest, highly suggest, is join one of the guilds, Authors Guild. If you're a children's book writer or illustrator, SCBWI is Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. It is the only organization to be a part of if you're doing children's books. That's obviously my specialty. Find a critique group. It's the best to bounce things off each other. Definitely highly recommend that, because we're all working in a vacuum when we're an author or illustrator. Find a collaborator with the following. How Carolyn mentioned, I reached out to Christine Lavin. She had a much wider audience already, fan club. It was really wonderful to do that, and our collaboration together. Our collaboration together is one reason why I became a small press. I tried to get for myself directly into some larger publishing houses, but because we were collaborators, if you are an author, illustrator, or if you're looking for an illustrator, don't do that unless you're going to be an indie publisher. They don't like that. They like to put you together. They might like your illustrations and not the writing, or vice versa. So we decided we were going to do it together, and that's what started the whole ball rolling. Hybrid publisher, I'm not going to really dwell on this. Mary will do that, help you find editors, illustrator, videographer, book designer. We are going to make this available for you. So these are some websites to check out if you wanted to do it yourself. Also, getting the ISBN and the barcode, again, Hybrid Publisher will help you with that, and copywriting the book. You must do the legwork yourself, like we were saying. You are your best voice. You're your best cheerleader because you are passionate about this. And so you've got to bring it out to the world. You're confident because you love your book. You use your social media. You are confident you are going to get reviews. We'll talk about that, when you are independent or hybrid or whatever, it's a little more challenging to get a good review, but it's very key. Testimony is also experts in your field, great to get. Then have a great book signing or event to announce your book. Pre-sale on Amazon. Again, I think we'll leave that kind of information to Mary. When you do get on Amazon, when you're going to be selling your book on Amazon, again, as we were saying, that's the elephant in the room. I don't think we can avoid Amazon nowadays. There's also an org, bookshop.org, Mary will talk about, and bookstores. How do you do that? Well, one thing is also, when you're on Amazon, you can create an Author Central page. Is anybody familiar with the Author Central page? Do you have one?
Yes.
Okay, great. And you can tell us your experience with it too. And so that is where your books can be listed. Also, if you have any promo material, photos of events or videos, you can have them up there too. Again, you have a book launch party, make a promo video. This is something that I recently started doing. I use Google Mail, and in your signature, I don't know if anybody has explored that, you can add images. So this image that I created is actually something that can appear at the bottom of all my emails. And you can have different signatures, but it's a great way. I find people who never knew that I was a book illustrator and author, I'm sending them an email and said, hey, she's got books. It's a great way. And also QR code, put them on everything. Put them on everything. So be creative. This is an ad also that I put in my town's newsletter. So all they have to do, if it's in print, put it to your phone. Yeah. Create a website. If you're going to have a book, you'll have to have a website. That's pretty crucial. And there was a question, I know last week, the library had a program about that. I was about digital marketing. And the question was, do you have a website for your book or for you? Yeah, for you. For you, definitely a book about you. And then your book will be listed. This is my promo video I made. We'll get back to that if we have time. More promotion. Here I was doing a reading for children, and I was also doing a book talk similar to this, also for adults. So I create graphics. Again, this is something I can do, but you may hire somebody to do it. There are ways, places you can find people to help you. When I do book readings, I dress up. So if there is anything, like if you're doing a book about a cookbook, you could have promo shots of you with a chef's hat or something. Just think creatively of how you market yourself. I also made a giant book. I created the giant book because as Carolyn mentioned, I was a collaborator with, this is Christine Lavin, the amazing Christine Lavin. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She lives here in New York. She's quite imaginative, a genius as far as I'm concerned, as far as what her songs are about. And this one song in particular, called Amoeba Hop, really caught my eye as an ear. And so she was doing, so we did this book together. She was doing Lincoln Center out of doors. And she said, prior to that, I was on stage with her and I would turn the pages of the book. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, we're doing Lincoln Center out of doors. Can you do a bigger book? Sure, Christine, I'll make one. This took 80 hours later, I created this book. But it's been the best thing because it's another great marketing tool for me that I put on my marketing that I send to schools and in social media in general, because for me and for someone who's a writer of even storybooks or young adult books, and if you're going to be going into the schools, you're going to be marketing to schools, that's the kind of thing that I would use. So when you do have your book, and you're going to have a book, these are some other revenue streams, the school visits. In fact, that's probably the way I made more money with that than actually from the sale of books. The way that I sold more books was because I would have those events. The schools would send out a flyer to the parents. Listen, there's an author illustrator here. Would you like to purchase the book? I would always give them a discount, and I would have like 20 to 40 books that were being purchased. Speaking engagements, especially if you're, again, this is something that I'll let Mary talk about that because she's done a lot of them. I've done a few. Or simply sell and give the book to family and friends and be proud of yourself. It's quite an accomplishment to publish a book.
Yes.
So that's my end of it. We'll take questions if you have any later. I'm going to hand it off to Mary.
All right. Let's see if I can click. Should I stand? I'm quite short. I just met somebody recently. I was in Frankfurt, Germany, and I'd only met her on Zoom, and she saw me in real life, and she said, "Oh my goodness, you're so short." I said, "Oh," she said, "it's great that you're short." I said, "Well, thank you so much." She said, "But I saw you on Zoom, and I thought you were really tall." And I said, "That's the nicest thing that anyone has ever said to me." So just by way of background, I started my book publishing career in 1989. I worked for a division of Random House. Then I moved on to work for Doubleday. I worked down the hall from Mrs. Onassis, which was quite spectacular. I've had lots of different experiences in book publishing. I then went on to work for Barnes & Noble, where I spent 8 years managing their national events program. When people used to do national events, it's not quite as popular anymore, but traveled across this great land.